Hey everybody, KC here. Really interesting piece the other day in Fast Company about how, wait for it, the Blackberry apparently is making a kind of comeback. I quote from the story. Before the iPhone, the Blackberry was the it phone. At its peak in the early 2000s, Blackberry commanded over 50% of the US and 20% of the global smartphone market. But times changed. Physical keyboards gave way to touchscreens, and eventually Blackberry discontinued support for its classic phones in 2022. But that's not where the story ends, because apparently young folks are rediscovering the Blackberry. Again from the story, the hashtag Blackberry on TikTok now has over 125,000 posts, with users sharing their retro finds and long-forgotten phones pulled from drawers, including models like the Blackberry Classic Q20 and a lilac Blackberry Curve. Now go figure, I never had one, but I had friends who absolutely adored and they called them crackberries before the technology became obsolete. I think if somebody could figure out a way to bring back the Blackberry in a way that fuses legacy and modern technology, they might actually have a hit on their hands. But there's a lot of this nostalgia marketing going on. Another story, this one from the LA Times, about how Gunsmoke, the Western drama that was on CBS starring James Arness as Marshal Matt Dillon, went off the air 50 years ago. And yet, Gunsmoke, and I quote from the story, has twice this year ranked among Nielsen's top 10 list of most streamed acquired series, alongside more contemporary favorites as Family Guy, NCIS, and Grey's Anatomy. The program scored 646 million minutes viewed for the week of March 3rd to 9th and 570 million for the week of April 28th to May 4th. The enduring success of the series, set in the frontier town of Dodge City, Kansas in the 1870s, demonstrates how every new evolution of video consumption can unlock the value of beloved vintage titles. Since wrapping production 50 years ago, Gunsmoke has never gone away, finding fans on cable, it's on TV Land and INSP, home video formats, and retro broadcast TV channels such as MeTV, before it was discovered by the streaming generation. And the thing about Gunsmoke, it was really kind of unusual in that it was a Western for adults, and its appeal, the LA Times makes this point, may be actually traceable to the popularity of the Yellowstone universe. So go figure, Westerns are back. Talk about nostalgia. And I got one more for you. This is from the New York Times. Netflix is getting into the old-fashioned TV business. And I quote, "The streaming giant has announced a deal to show live and on-demand programming from one of France's television networks, TF1. The partnership, the first of its kind for Netflix, means that the company's subscribers in France will have access to TF1's broad array of programming, including game shows like The Voice, as well as live sporting events and soap operas without leaving the service." Well, this suggests to me in some ways that this could happen in the US. What if Netflix or Amazon or Apple on their streaming services, or Paramount, or you pick one, decided to acquire ABC, CBS, or NBC, or maybe they acquire CNN, or maybe they acquire MSNBC, or any of these news channels that they think would bring eyeballs to them. It would make a lot of sense. It would be in line with this strategy. But the other interesting thing about that is that because they're going to live TV, it's changing the business model just a little bit. Many streaming shows, when the concept of streaming first evolved, basically they would see a whole season drop at the same time. The idea was to encourage binge watching, but that doesn't happen nearly as much anymore. Now, basically, streaming shows are dropped the same way they used to be, once a week, because they want to build habitual return to the channel. And to me, it's interesting how they're returning to more traditional distribution models. But think about this for a second. You got Blackberries, you got Gunsmoke, you got traditional distribution models. These are all non-edible examples of comfort food. Now, comfort food. Think about a great meatloaf, or a delicious cinnamon bun, or a fragrant pasta sauce, or a freshly baked chocolate chip cookie that makes you hungry the moment you walk into the store. Comfort foods of all kinds can give comfort, but by connecting legacy to modernity and by stressing quality and innovation, marketers, whether in food or non-food, can really move the needle on consumer acceptance and actual consumption. And for food marketers, it seems to me, that's really important. Anyway, that's what's on my mind. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.